Hi friends, welcome back to playing tribute to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. We are on case 2 of this game, which is the third game in the original trilogy, and this is my favorite case of the whole trilogy, I believe. And we are right down to the wire here. We are at the last bit because we know what we want to prove. It's just a matter of going about and proving it. So we last figured out that Mr. Luke Atme is trying to frame Ron Delight for the murder of Kane Bullard. But we still have a lot to figure out because he was currently being tried as Mask to Mask, who stole the sacred urn from the Curane exhibit in Lordly Taylor. So he's still got an alibi, I'm pretty sure. It's gonna be a challenging road. Let's see what we can do. My sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then she's still alive, inside your heart. Nicky boy! Oh, Miss Delight. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. Speaking of the proof that we have, let's go ahead and take a look through it. Of course, my badge, Magatama. We got the treasure exhibit poster. Remember, it said I am because of Pearl's inability to spell, but really it was supposed to say Amy. It has since been fixed because apparently Adrian Andrews also dropped it and broke it and put it back together. The statue, the calling card, of course, talking about getting the priceless work of art. Camera data that it went off at 1 a.m. the night of the crime. The she. Which apparently, like, the story behind this, I'm still not sure about the story behind this, and I don't remember it being resolved, so I'm really hoping it's resolved. Because they didn't actually fight that night, so how did it get bent? That sort of thing. Storeroom entrance, right, this is the security camera going off at 1. The blackmail letter. The wallet that put Ron at the scene of the crime. There I go, forgetting to turn off my phone again. Mask to Mask. Love them. Oops, that's not the button I wanted to press. Damask's brooch, found in the shadow of Amy Faye's statue. Looks like it was torn off some clothing. Blunt force trauma to the head from the autopsy report. This is about the heist. The guard in the back was Ron. The buzzer, we used that a lot last part of this case. Kane's list, which seems to list all of the things that Mask to Mask has stolen. Buzzer record, again, we used that. Oh, right. Ron Delight is Damask, and he was stealing as directed by blackmail letters. So that's why the current blackmail letter was weird, he said, because it actually told him to meet at a certain location. Here's the urn. Broken 2 weeks ago and replaced. Paint marks. And the box that fits the shape of the paint that is remaining there. So all the pink paint. And that's it. So anyway. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? It's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. It's gotta happen sooner, rather than later. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atterby, please take the stand. Home stretch, guys. Well, well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought that to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask to Mask. I'm sorry. I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask to Mask. Indeed, it's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are in fact Mask to Mask. Of course. Very well then, Luke Atme. Let us begin with a simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Cain Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks. Oh, what cup are you on, Godot? All right, Mr. Atme, the night of the murder, speak. We're listening. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. The alibi. I was stealing the urn as Mask to Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder. It seems the main point of discussion will be the photo of the crime scene. Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great Mask to Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me. I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. Now he's just starting to sound like Franziska. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is! And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. That's why I'm called Mask to Mask. But conveniently, that also means that there is no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean?
Objection!
Ha! Are you saying that this is not, in fact, Luke Atme? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask to Mask to create an alibi? Oh, what an interesting idea! Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? No. There's really nobody that could have done it. So, no. If Luke Atme was at KB Security during the murder, then the Mask to Mask in this picture has to be a fake. Then there really was an accomplice. Right now, I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what that guy wants. There's got to be another way, and I'm going to find it. That's just mean to Adrian. Pathetically easy job. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. You see, you truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am. Hey, Nick. Isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atney was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here. Is that correct? Indeed it is. That's it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose.
Objection!
He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We'd all have days like that. Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime at all. Life is truly an ironic thing, a sad, blue melody. Looks like I'd better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's got to be something phony in that photo. Press everything. About the camera that took his photograph. Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered. I see. Looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false. Has to be. Or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at the KB security. But I'm not really spotting anything unusual. There are two possibilities. Either the mask-to-mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. I'm gonna press this one again. No, wait, not that one, wait. This one again, because this is what we jumped on before.
Objection!
Should I name would it? Yeah, we will see. KB security. This picture has to be a fake. And there really was an accomplice, but right now I have no idea who. Baseless objections. There's got to be another. Okay, but then there was that other part that they said was weird, which was this one. Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. There's no reason I can do both. Perfect opportunity, I see. You truly are evil. Yes. And then weird. Detective Atney was always proud of his detective skills. If the urn was stolen, while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect detective persona. So, is that proof that he did in fact have an accomplice? Because he wouldn't have been the only one. Let's see where this leads, shall we? Let's see what it prompts me to do.
Objection!
To ask for an accomplice. Because I'm leaning more towards the photograph being fake than there being an accomplice. Murder. And the master mask on this picture has to be a fake. Exactly. You had an accomplice. I remember you said that, Mr. Trage, because there's no going back. Oh. That's threatening. The penalty is probably boiling hot, too. So who is it, Mr. Trite? Who was the accomplice? There's a trick to this. I know there's a trick to this. It wants me to make a trick to it. Should I say Mask to Mask is the accomplice? Is that the trick? What is it? Or is it the evidence? Like, is it not a person, but the accomplice was the fake photograph? I don't... Yikes. Go ahead, throw it at me. I know you want to. It's quite the prank you're trying to pull. Do you have any evidence that this person is, in fact, the accomplice? Well... the aura. Going to judge someone by their aura, you'd be right up there as number one suspect. Cool, yeah, alright, fine, that's fair. Okay. Okay, but he was acting like this was, like he wanted it to be... Photograph, you mean this piece of evidence, is that correct? Indeed it is, that is it, the very thing that proves I committed the crime. But it's weird, because it acts as though you wanted it to catch you. Oh, it's not letting me skip ahead, maybe I've reached something new. Lordly Taylor provided that camera, there's no way I could have tampered with it. It means I could not have killed King Bullard, unless I had an accomplice. Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse, and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's got to be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? Yes. There is. Yes. Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well, then let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny? If you remember... it was a point, and it was in the court record, so it's interesting that it's not letting me look at the court record right now. But there is something that was... weird. Something that moved on the night of the crime. Take that! The funny part is right here. Boy, this is a blood stain. Blood! Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that. From blood to peaches. The judge sure likes going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains? Now I can look at it. So remember, it had moved again. It was moved that night for some reason. The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's good reason for that. On the day of the crime, around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I myself was there the night the theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there.
Objection!
But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old hag was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally? Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Ha! In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night. Can you do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime? Oh, we're gonna answer who anyway. Well, the only person that was there, right? The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atme. Come now, Sir Lawyer! There you go again on one of your strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for such strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue? Here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me, you pretended to be Mask to Mask, to create an alibi for showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would have been exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. That's why you moved the statue. A single fatal flaw. Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist? Alright. I feel like I remember this giving me trouble. Like, what do you mean the lie? And I clicked a bunch of places. It's asking, or I clicked a bunch of places because I'm like, oh, this is the problem. But it's asking for the lie. Where does the lie exist? The lie of this photograph is the timestamp. What do you mean? I tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to be at Lordly Taylor at this time. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor, when was the statue placed besides the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the... Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. Oh. So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in this photo. Oh, order! Mr. Atme, is this true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by Lordly Taylor's staff. However, the program used to manage the data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with it. Order! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down. My 11th cup. I've promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Which means I'm still good to the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point. So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points. I think you got your points mixed up with your other points. So, you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied, which is that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. No way, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask. Yes. If there's no funny business in your actions as Mask Damask, there should be no problem with your telling us your strategy. So let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn. I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box in Svari. It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we'll find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. Witness, you're sure that there are no mistakes this time? Svari. Very well then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yeah, we know that. Sent to the warehouse. I was unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, Luke Atme let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. I knew it was extremely valuable, sent my card 10 days beforehand. Right, it actually just isn't worth anything, we've found out, but that's okay. Let's actually talk about how little it's worth. You mean this calling card? That's right. That is, without a doubt, my calling card. I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play to him. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Not allowed to go on this there. The detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime. Alright then, how do we do that? There is one thing that Atme stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it. Yep, that's the big point here. We need to prove that he's lying. Sorry, that was Maya who said that. I'm just pressing things so that I know where to present what I know to present just from playing this before. I know what the problem is. Sorry. And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed. To be honest, even if the photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey, Nick. If this photo is a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. It's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. You take a good hard look at the court record. Yes, I know what the problem is. It's just a matter of knowing where exactly. I think it's this one. Because that's when he's actually talking about not seeing it. And I think what we present is the calling card. Objection! Yes! Okay. Mr. Atme, if you really are Mask Damask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mask Damask had written. take good care of that speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn. Yes, that is true, but so what? Truth be told, there's no way that Mask to Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error. Or should I say an error-prone human. That's just mean. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn. You can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Mask to Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point. No way, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do that? An excellent point. Yeah, we don't have the motive yet. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you my merry murderous motive, Let me try that again, because that's a great line and I want to actually say it. Might you my merry murderous motive manifest? Nick! He's getting his second wind! If he prepared an alibi and pinned this crime on Ron Delight, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive would have been Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective? Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear. Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us to what the defendant's motives were. Thank you, Sir Oldtimer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. So he's going to talk about the other person's motive for murder. I, Luke Atme, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Mask to Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Mask to Mask. That's why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant. This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter. Oh, okay. That's new information. Let's update that. That's important. Written by Bullard. Very well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. No points of contact with the victim. And who in the world is going to prove that? I will. After doing thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report. Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt. In any case, the only one with the motive to kill was Mr. Delight. Simply mistook who he was he still gonna claim he's Mask to Mask? Mistook? That's right, mistook. From the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take in error. That wasn't what I meant. Just who did the victim mistake Mask to Mask to be? Why, the answer's obvious. Ron Delight, of course. Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Always press harder. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Mask to Mask? Don't you already know that? Svari! Take a look at this newspaper. Oh, that's the famous Tear of Eminon, a magnificent jewel. That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, doesn't it? Oh, sorry, that's at me. That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant. The defendant? The victim clearly misread the article in Svari. He got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Mask to Mask. I see. That was an unusually reasonable deduction. You mean this blackmail letter right here? It says bring $50,000. And the handwriting is without a doubt the victim's. There's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it. But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere. An addressee. This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment, and Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there is no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder... What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight? Whoa! Do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter. Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied? Okay, we've been clued in. Do I use the letter? Do I present the letter? Let's keep pressing, and then I'll present the letter on that bit. What do you mean by that? Oh my, I was certain you were already aware. Svari! KB Security has a lot of security. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is where we found out that he was stealing information as the security chief to sell it. Because of Desi's hobby of spending money. Kane Bullard had yet to forgive young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent them that letter upon mistakenly believing that he was the thief. Here's a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail. However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually Mask to Mask? On that point, there was an unfortunate chance. The defendant truly believes he is Mask to Mask. That's because he is, you evil, evil thing. Do you really think that story is going to hold up? That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid. What do you mean? I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Ronnie thinks he's Mask to Mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please don't think too badly of him. Huh. Well, Mr. Trite. Was he trying to act like Ms. Delight just now? I thought he was actually pretty convincing. Now that's just your imagination talking. Come now, Sir Lawyer. I'm afraid imagination isn't the right word for it. This is a deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning. Can we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves? It's a long story and better saved for another time. Very well, another time. The so-called long stories aren't usually all that long. At least not in my experience. So you're going to try to connect Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right? Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery. In that case, you'll have to talk about the blackmail. That's true. Is that blackmail letter really intended for Ron? Since we don't have enough information, you should press him for more testimony. Maybe I'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way. Okay. No, this is not the thing to say. No points of contact. Mistook who Mask to Mask was. Sent the blackmail letter to Rhonda Lights. What if it wasn't for Rhonda Light? Okay.
Objection!
Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective? Well, if it's just a few, I guess that's all right. When you said that this letter was addressed to Rhonda Lights, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction? I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. You're one to talk. At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter. What? Is it just wanting me to... Okay, so now I'm contradicting the letter. So I'm acting like the letter is a testimony. What is wrong with the letter's testimony, quote-unquote? I'll give it a minute, because again, I know what the problem is, because I've played this before. So, if this was addressed to Ron, Mask to Mask, there's something wrong here. And the thing that is wrong can be found here. So, objection? Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel. What about it? The problem is the jewel's color. Color. I'm not much for discussing color myself. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day. Red. Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of Emanon that Mask to Mask stole at all.
Objection!
And your point is, Mr. Trite. So you are trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else. That is what you're trying to say, right, Trite? That's what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright? Well, that's what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. How many times am I going to present his profile? Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You've been personally involved in every single mask-to-mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen, and received a jewel as your reward. A jewel? Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger? Conspicuously around your finger? The red diamond ring? That is the diamond referred to in this letter. Which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Order in the court. Order, I see. It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite. Oh, I don't like the way he said that. But he's smoking here. He's not in any capacity to do well right now. Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke at me. Are you for real? Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atmey's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep secret, so just what was that identity? Atmey killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Luke Atmey wanted to so desperately keep secret was his identity as an ace detective, masked a mask, or a blackmailer. Wow, look at how much health it's going to take away from Ron here. Yeah, ace detective, obviously not. He is not masked a mask. He's just not. But one could say he's kind of like masked a mask, or he is kind of masked a mask because of this answer. Luke Atmey was a blackmailer.
Objection!
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atmey. Are you saying that Atmey was blackmailing someone else on top of that? You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atmey. But Ron DeLite was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So after the incident, he started receiving blackmail letters. The plans. Detailed plans? In which case that would mean that Ron DeLite was actually masked a mask. That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. DeLite steal his targets for him. So again, kind of masked a mask, but not quite. And that someone was none other than Luke Atmey. Silence! Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you... You say that I, Luke Atmey, was blackmailing Ron DeLite, in which case I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask the Mask. Well, yes. Ron DeLite started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed that first crime. Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. Are you asking me to prove that you knew of his identity? In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atmey know that Ron DeLite was masked a mask? Because he turned into a guard. Is this a question I have to answer? Is this really a thing? What is... It's right here. It's like, gee, I wonder where Mask to Mask is. Oh, he must be this guard that appeared randomly. I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief, trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. I forgot about that line back and forth with grade school. That was great. It has a picture of you in Ron DeLite in his guard uniform. It seems the Mask to Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask to mask was really Ron Delight. What the? Wasn't he supposed to be mask to mask? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud! Trying to pass himself off as an ace detective. Why, you? How dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and also mask to mask. Why can't you understand that? Yeah, go ahead into your laughter again. I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why, you... How dare you even dare to such lowly depths? Why not try doing something with yourselves? Because with big mouth, you're all fools. Fools, I say, none of you can compare to my genius. You're all just jealous. Go, discreet me, commemorate. Detective on the handle, blackmail murderer, that's what it is. Ha 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 ha. It's enough to make one laugh. It would seem we finally got to the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme. Bailiff, please prepare yourself for Mr. Atme.
Objection!
What could you possibly have to say? Godot. The hammer. It strikes too fast, has no time to aim. What do you mean? I've already prepared to deliver my sentence. Allow me to say one thing. How does that coffee mug not break when he slams it like that? It must be made out of something tough. It's definitely not ceramic. Or glass. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. Where do you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme is a filthy blackmailer. And that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right, that's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull... But... there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't in the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I got a little carried away with the excitement of revealing him to be a blackmailer. I forgot that this is a case for murder. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was at KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way. Yeah, sorry, that was my bad. I jumped the gun there. Order in this court. Well, Mr. Wright? This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atme was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night. But can you really prove that? It's long enough. Mr. Trite, I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Atme was at KB security, and the defense... Can I prove it? Well, yeah, he got the blackmail letter. So he went there. Can I prove it? Can I prove it? It was not giving me like a health choice here, so I feel like this is one of those choices that link me to the same place anyway. Like if I say I can't prove it, maybe I have to pull a phoenix and bluff it. The defense can prove it with evidence. Are you sure? Ha. Don't you worry, I'll watch over you as you break down and fall to pieces. Very well then, let's see this proof. now it's a problem. Okay, my proof right now is the blackmail letter. Because... because you had to answer it. This is the proof. It's true that is very important. However, I'm not so foolish as to think this will pass for evidence here. Mr. Trice, it's time you learned the true flavor of life. The flavor of my special Godot Blend 49. Well, Mr. Wright. It's bitter. Very bitter. Come on, Nick. Don't give up now. What do I do? If I make a mistake here, it's over. I can't... Okay, I can't prove it then. There's nothing. I can't prove it. Just as I thought. But, if we hear more of Detective Atmey's testimony...
Objection.
Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony, that's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atmey is here after we interrupted his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as mask to mask. No. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as mask to mask. My verdict will verify that, just as Rhonda Lights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness. I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick! We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence, and by then it'll be too late. Oh, why? Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law. Double jeopardy? Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts. And it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atmey will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as mask to mask, which means he will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned. No way. But we already proved that he stole the thing before the murder. The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atmey's guilt of the crime here means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer. This case is so cool. Oh hey, remember that sprite? Oh, there's nothing I can possibly do to win, even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent. The real killer, Luke Atmey, will go free. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there is no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? Yeah, enjoy that cup of Joe, dude. Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atmey.
Objection!
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing, and often makes mistakes as a result. How did you? I love the report card joke. It's great. Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. That voice. No way. Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! This is the true power of the Curian channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yes, that's true, but... Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, This witness made a number of remarks. Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever. Very well, then we shall prove that their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor? Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? Nothing. Oh, sir lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods would do anything to me, look at... Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you... Very well then, look at me. I'll allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declare the defendant to be the true murderer. So please, give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was that informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight, and thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Sorry! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything. But of course! But how did you know about the emergency buzzer? The police investigation documents went directly through me, and I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, sir lawyer. Are you going to make even more trouble for us now, sir lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Here it is. Here it is. I've been waiting. I was like, when does it start doing this thing? This is the thing. It's not great. Hang on a sec. Just one chance? It seems that the party's about to begin. Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with the testimony. So it would seem. What do you mean, so it would seem? Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. So she's saying that we don't need to present evidence. So pressing is an option. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do to find a contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination. So that press everything plan, can't do it. This is down to the wire. I need to press the statement that is a problem. That is not true, but that's not the problem. Or wait, no, sorry. Not at Lordly Taylor. Yes, that is true, so that's not the problem. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. Yeah, sure, that's the one that's not true. But again, we can't frame anything. Had the photograph readied. We know that it was Ron Delight. Thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. We proved that in the trial yesterday. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which we found out from the police report. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. because the victim does not wear gloves. Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit, which is why he left no prints, because the mask-to-mask outfit has gloves. In the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. All the evidence points to that poor boy. Okay. If you recall, from the beginning of this trial, when he first came in, he has been in the defendant's chair next door the entire time. There is something that we learned, some evidence that we gained in the last part that was not known until the trial, until it was testified. And that testimony is something that this guy knows, even though he shouldn't. Because if he wasn't there to murder Kane Bullard, why does he know this information? Do you guys know what that testimony part is? What evidence? He already explained the buzzer away. And like I said, the keycard and wallet was from yesterday. He was there. He was not there for this. Remember the big shock and craziness that overwhelmed the courtroom when Ron Delight said, "Oh, right, I was wearing the mask and that's why I wasn't killed when I was bopped over the head." Mr. Atme, about this last remark.
Objection!
You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. By the way, the fact that they do this, where they say stuff like this is the same thing that they say if you press the wrong statement. It scares you, and it makes you want to turn back and, try again. But we're okay. We're good. See, I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Atme, seems you have finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. Is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry. Whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as mask-to-mask when he went to the scene of the crime? It was just a few hours ago, back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare. Huh? Oh, I did forget to mention it before. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who had been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you should have known about that. You were in the next courtroom being tried as mask-to-mask. So then enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information? Well, come on, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his mask-to-mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out. Only one way, you said. Please remember, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer.
Objection!
But Mr. Delight never saw him. There's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to follow that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. Detective Atme, you saw Mask to Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. There's an earthquake. He's causing an earthquake. Earthquake of laughter. He looks so joyful. Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. Is that the same thing you said the other day? That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. What an awfully complicated incident, and I love it, and I love this case. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight, and upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Mask to Mask in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with this plan, to use the double jeopardy rule in making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth. Excuse me, I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man. Besmirching him with the title of murderer. That's the same line you used yesterday, too. Don't ignore me! Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict. I know. You never committed any murder. That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Mask to Mask! Uh-huh. So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy? Now that you mention it, I've been careless. Careless? What do you think? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent. Because it wasn't a trial to see whether he stole the urn. It was a trial of Mask to Mask. Then Mask to Mask is really innocent. For now. It would seem so. For now. Now then, this court finds the defendant not guilty. Yay! Confetti! Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, that isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still have Mask to Mask after all. I love him. You did it, Nick. Oh, wow. Is she calling me Nick? She never calls me Nick. I'm very confused. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. I'm thinking that might have been a typo. I don't think she would have called him Nick. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of lost these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Curane channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. You mean Misty Faye? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Yeah. Mr. Wright! I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much! No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though, now that all of this is over. Come on, just be happy already! Maya? You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off of Mask to Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security and becoming Mask to Mask. I did it all for one reason. For her. You mean your wife, Desiree. She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have had any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Mask to Mask? Yes, but it's all over now. A broken bowl can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick? Right. Really? Can we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can? Kinda wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together. This at least is a little bit easier to figure out.
Take that!
The sacred urn. Tessie was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife, she's always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Ah, there you are! Miss Delight. You did it, Ronnie! You're innocent! I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that. But, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I feel like there should be some corrections here. I never imagined that you were really masked to mask either. Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast that there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective? I see. My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them. Like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Aww. Desi. Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy? Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well. Take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. I can feel my face going red. Oh, is the timing. Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife, in front of Mystic Maya. No, you got it all wrong. I'll never forgive you. Ever, never. So, just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together, but I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Pictures! All the paint splotches. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Yeah, because it actually says Amy this time. Sorry, Pearls. Freeze frame. Oh, I love that case. It's so good. I love Ron. I love the whole, like, double crime thing. It's great. So I've already kind of started going off on that, and I've been talking about it throughout the entire case, about how much I love this case. But yeah, it's clever. The defendant is adorable. I love Ron. The situation is clever in that there are two crimes happening at once. And so, like, the first bit goes through and you have, your investigation and then your trial. It's almost kind of like a tutorial within the thing, because it's like, oh, here's a practice case of larceny for you. Oh, now there's actually the murder case where you have to prove that Ron didn't murder the security chief. But yeah, it's clever, and the whole, like, double jeopardy thing, and mask to mask is cool and all of that. So and the whole story with it, I completely, for some reason, I completely forgot about the fact that that of course he was given the plans by the detective. I knew that the detective was linked to him in some way, and I totally forgot what was going on. I forgot that it was, like, blackmail going on. But anyway, yeah, this this is great. The return of Adrienne Andrews and seeing how she's doing all right was also good. The introduction of a new prosecutor, Godot. Of course, all of the little exposition-y stuff that happens in the second case. Since we're past the tutorial, now we're into the meat of things, the meat of the story. So there are 5 episodes, 5 cases in this game, and we're going to be seeing a lot of story unlocking and going through all that. But I think we're to points that I have not played that many times. I feel like I might have played this next one more than once because it's pretty cool too. I do like this next one. But this one, Stolen Turnabout, my favorite. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be curious to know if you guys stick around and watch all of these. I'll be curious to know what your favorites are. So that'll be fun to find out after you've watched through the original trilogy here, and maybe beyond, maybe games beyond. Like I said, this is just the original trilogy, so there's a few sequels, a few spin-offs that I hope to eventually make my way back to and play through here just for fun. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. Glad that you're sticking around. Glad that you got to see it. Glad that I got to play my favorite case. And I'll talk to you guys next time.